But we want to get right to CNN's John Avlon, CNN's senior political analyst, Charlie Dent, CNN's political commentator and former Republican congressman. Alice Stewart is here as well, CNN political commentator and Republican strategist. I'm happy to have all of you on. Good evening to you. So, John, let's start with the new stuff, the stuff that's breaking. Hi, everyone. So, listen, the FBI issuing, investigators issuing, I should say, a subpoena to the National Archives to access classified documents that Trump took to Mar-a-Lago. Are we going to find out what he took to Mar-a-Lago, and what does this mean for the former president, you think?
Well, we will find out what he took to Mar-a-Lago. We may find out the context in which he took it. Was it just sort of Trump cluelessness, grabbing everything he could on the way out the door, or was there classified information that hadn't been declassified? There's also a statute having to do with these documents, which might end up being material. There is a law on the books that says if you steal, spindle, mutilate official documents, that there are punishments that go with that. And not necessarily jail time, although some folks have gotten jail time, usually trying to sell documents that belong to the people, because these are the people's documents. But in some cases, not being eligible to serve in government again. That is a long ball. People should be aware it exists, but not put too many eggs in that particular basket. But this is a serious deal if it's something beyond mere cluelessness, depending on the secrecy of those documents. They belong to the people.
Charlie, there's more big news today. Those subpoenas by the January 6th committee for House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, along with Congressman Scott Perry, Jim Jordan, Andy Biggs, and Mo Brooks. I mean, this is an unprecedented move. Give me your reaction to the committee subpoenaing its own colleagues.
Well, as a former chair of the House Ethics Committee, we actually did authorize the issuance of some subpoenas to members at various times, but it was always for documents. I don't think we actually ever issued the subpoenas, but we authorized them. Senator Bob Packwood, there was a precedent. He was subpoenaed, I think, also for documents. They went to court and Packwood lost. So, but what's unusual about this is that members are being asked to provide testimony as under a subpoena. And so I suspect these members will not comply. And then if the House flips, I suspect they'll return the favor and they will issue subpoenas to their favorite targets, maybe Adam Schiff or someone like that. But this is, I think it's bad for Congress at the end of the day because, if these subpoenas are defied by the members, it just weakens Congress. And so I think that's really what's happening here.
He didn't say it, but I could hear it. John's like,
yeah, I'm going to go that. Look, I think this is not a process story. Yes, they may try to run out the clock. Yes, it's bad for the institution. They'll probably refuse it. But that's not the real deal. You know what's bad for the institution? Members of Congress trying to coordinate with the sitting president to overturn an election. And the reason they're resisting testifying is they have something to hide, apparently. They can't handle the truth, and it's important to get the information. Knowing what we know about Scott Perry, knowing what we know about some of these other folks who were working. We know that we got the text messages in some case. We know they were working with the Trump White House to try to overturn an election. All that information's got to come out, and they should testify.
Alice, I want to bring you in. Look, this investigation is...
I agree.
Okay, so wait a minute. Hold on, Alice. What did you say?
I just said I agree. I agree with that.
All right.
Thank you.
I agree. They should testify. Yeah.
But will they? I don't think. Alice, will they?
No, they won't.
Good night, everybody.
They would, but they won't.
They're not going to do it, right?
Have a good night. No, we're not going to get any additional information out of them that we already have. There's the off chance that they will provide documents that have been subpoenaed and some extemporaneous information. But as far as any of them testifying under oath, that's not going to happen. And potentially they could be found in contempt of court. And John's right. They're probably going to try and run out the clock and have this stretch as long as they possibly can in hopes of by the time this does come to fruition, Republicans will be in control. And look, I'm talking with Republican members of Congress now, and they say if this does get to that point and there has been no findings out of this committee and Republicans take control, they may dismantle the January 6th committee, or they could repopulate it with some of their own and begin their own investigation. And what they would look at would be Nancy Pelosi's security procedures at the Capitol that day, as well as the Capitol Police. So there are far-reaching consequences of this one way or the other. But the reality is, and I think we can all agree on this, I truly believe, at least in terms of Republican voters and many independents, they're not looking back with regard to that when they're going to the polls. They're looking to the future. And while getting an answer to January 6th would be ideal, most voters out there that I talk to and Republican members of Congress, they're not concerned as much with that as they are, as we all know, the pressing issues of economy and jobs, and now the big issue being pro-life and the abortion issue.
In your multiple choice, in your multiple choices that you offered there, I'm going to say it is B, repopulation and changing of the narrative to investigate Nancy Pelosi and the Capitol Police. That's what will happen if the clock does run out here. So, Alice, heading into the midterms, Charlie, you agree with me, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. See, Charlie's just like, I agree. I agree.
Joe
I like Charlie's a perfect
Joe
guess.
Friday.
He's like, I mean, look, he doesn't go on for a long time. He's like, I agree. You're right. Next question.
There needs to be accountability for what happened on January 6th,
Right.
and members should come in voluntarily to answer questions. That's my preference.
Yeah, of course, we all know that. But the reality is, as you said, you don't think that everyone on this panel has agreed that they don't think that the chances of them testifying are slim and between slim and none. And Alice said either they'll dismantle the January 6th committee or they'll repopulate it. And I think repopulating it is the answer. So, Alice, heading into the midterms, we have seen a much sharper tone from President Biden toward former President Trump and the Republican Party. Take a listen to this.
Under my predecessor, the great MAGA king, the deficit increased every single year he was president. I never expected the ultra MAGA Republicans who seem to control the Republican Party now to have been able to control the Republican Party. This MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history, in recent American history.
Look, Alice, you've actually got some in the GOP embracing these comments. Will the attacks have the impact that Biden thinks they will?
I don't think so. If that's his version of calling us deplorables, it's not going to work. It just kind of goes to show what a nice guy President Biden is. Look, that kind of thing is not going to frustrate Republicans, and I quite frankly don't see it impacting independents and undecided voters. Certainly, the Democrats are going to jump on board with that, but independents and Republicans are not concerned about being ultra MAGA. They are concerned with the ultra high inflation, ultra high crime, ultra high prices, ultra high gas prices, and that's the concern.
You got to let
voters.
John in before he jumps out of
I-
his seat here.
I hear what you're saying, and the polling, New Monmouth polling shows, whether this will be about the inflation or abortion, those are the key issues. But I got to say, independent voters in particular, this election does have a lot to do with democracy. And the fact that one political party is by and large back to the big lie, some will say it out loud, some will say, you know what, let's just not address it. This is very much about democracy because that's what was threatened in the last election. And one party, a large number of it, including younger members, when they call themselves ultra MAGA, that's what they're backing. That's not appealing to independent voters, Al.
I had to cut you off, Alice, because he's like, it's like, wait a minute, don't leap off of the set here. But look, here's my point was, and I don't, look, Alice, you didn't really talk about this, but to call him the great MAGA king, I mean, Trump wants nothing more than to be a king. And of course, he's like, yes, of course, I'm the king of the MAGA movement. So I don't know how insulting that's going to be to him. Charlie, go ahead. What do you want to say?
I was going to say, look, if you look at Pennsylvania right now, you have a gubernatorial race and a Senate race, and most of the Republican candidates are running as Trumpian campaigns. But the two leaders, this Kathy Barnett for the Senate, she's on the cusp of breaking through, and Doug Mastriano running for governor, they are ultra MAGA. I mean, these guys are so far out on the limb. The other candidates are even Fox News is attacking Barnett. They're out there attacking. So what I'm saying is that there are some very fringe elements. I don't know if ultra MAGA is the right word or term, but they're problematic, and they're ascending in the Pennsylvania primary now, setting up a situation where we could have we could have two completely unelectable candidates in a year where Republicans should probably win those two races. They could blow it.
Charlie's right.
Yep.
That's a big fear in the Pennsylvania race, in that Senate race that he's talking about. Charlie knows Pennsylvania. He's won 13 out of 13 races. He understands how it works. But Barnett has benefited from the roller derby of that U.S. Senate race there. We've had Oz and McCormick really going after each other for months, and Barnett just kind of coasted around on the outside. And
Alice,
she's
do you think
right
people
there,
are sick of the fighting
second
between
place.
those two?
Yeah, they are. But in the next 3 days, they're going to see a lot of people fighting against Barnett because she is posing to be quite a threat. So we will see how the next few days pan out in Pennsylvania. I happen to think people in Pennsylvania are more conservative and would support someone like McCormick, who supports Trump, but is not as in the Trump trenches as Oz currently is. But, it's down to the wire. Right now, we have a statistical dead heat between the three of them. And this will be a great race to watch.
Yeah, I mean, what Alice just conceded, though, is there is such a thing as too extreme. And that's a problem for the Republican Party. Yeah, you just heard it right there. If the Republican Party nominates the most extreme folks, they're going to have a real problem in a general election, which speaks to the problem of folks who are ultra MAGA, who are backing the big lie in one shape or form, because they're not going to win the moderates. They're not going to win the independents. That's the political reality. And that's what Republicans are dealing with right now in these relatively low turnout, high stakes primaries.
Can someone answer a question for me? What happened to Dr. Oz?
How much time you got?
I mean, I don't mean, look, politically he can be as right as he, if he is a conservative, then that's fine. But to embrace the big lie, someone who is a doctor, who, had at times a respectable show. In the beginning was, of course, Oprah Winfrey brought him, into prominence, and Oprah operates from light, and then now you have this person operating from darkness. What happened to Dr. Oz?
Well, he's trying to win a Republican primary. But Alice, go ahead.
That's right.
Sorry to bump in. Look, like it or not, Donald Trump is the titular head of the Republican Party in many places. Currently in Pennsylvania, he has 70% approval rating in the Republican primary voters. So with Oz's long-term vision of becoming a U.S. senator and probably and dreams of being president someday by sleeping, I guess he slept on my pillow a little bit too long. Look, clearly, he realized the path to victory in his mind was to be all in on Trump. He got the Trump endorsement, and he thinks that's the winning ticket. But I happen to think we need to make sure and have a more moderate candidate to win the primary in order to win the general.
Hey, Charlie, quick. I don't know if there's a quick answer for this, but I mean, why isn't he having as much success in Pennsylvania as one would think? I mean, he's gone full MAGA. Is it because he's a carpetbagger? But a lot of people are carpetbaggers.
Well, no, look, I think the challenge for Oz and McCormick to a certain extent is a lot of Pennsylvanians don't think they're particularly authentic. Oz, look, he's got his TV persona, which is very different than he is as a candidate. And McCormick, he was a Bush guy, he was on a hedge fund, very, successful biography and career. And a lot of people really don't believe he's a real MAGA guy either. Yeah. So there's an authenticity issue for both of them, unlike Kathy Barnett, who is seen as authentically, way out there. But they see her as authentic. And the real authentic guy is Jeff Bardos, who's the most normal of them all, and he's not getting traction right now.
Well, that's the one word that Jeff Sullivan said you hear about Kathy Barnett is authentic. Thank you. Fascinating conversation. Come back.
Thanks,
come back now, you hear? Y'all come back now, you hear? Who knows what that is?
Y'all come back.
Oh, come on. It's a Beverly Hillbillies.
Come on now.
All right. Thank you, guys. I'll see you soon. New